Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. It has been 6 months since I purchased the Tamron 35-150, and since it has been quite a period of time after using it, so I thought it would be a good time for me to post a 6-month review. I have previously made a review about this lens and you can view in the link below. So there is quite a bit of comments and queries about this lens, and a really big shout out to you guys for interacting with me and asking about these questions. So I thought it would be good to follow up on these questions so that you can make informed decisions whether you want to buy this lens. So before we start, as a disclaimer, I bought this lens myself for my own use, and neither Tamron or anyone paid me to say anything good or bad. Similar to choosing a partner, you would have to accept the flaws of the lens you bought, otherwise you will end up regretting it. Not to mention that this is an expensive one. Let's talk about the flaws I faced when using this lens. So the first and foremost drawback of this lens is the weight. This lens weighs 1.2 kilograms or 2.6 pounds. It's almost twice the weight of any camera. It is definitely not easy to hold, especially with the lens attached. The weight is also pretty noticeable, especially when you are holding it for a while. There's no tripod mount on this lens, and the lens feels very off-centered, especially when mounted on a tripod with the lens extended to 150mm. Secondly, the flare and ghosting of this lens is very significant when shooting directly against the sunlight. If you are using this lens for portraits, you have to be very careful when you are trying to frame the subject in front of the sun, particularly during sunset. You may be happily doing your portrait photo shoot, and after a while when you head back home, you realize that the flare is directly on the subject's face and the photo is ruined and there's no way that you can recover it. The flare also does not show up clearly through the EVF. You may not be able to detect it in time. So make sure that you review each photo after you have taken it. So lastly, the customize function of the focus set button is not very useful. Tamron has allowed you to use the Tamron utility app to customize the focus set button to switch between two focus positions, jump to one predefined position, or any of the custom function assignable to the camera's customized button. The focus ring can also be switched to operate as an aperture ring. You have to plug in your lens to the computer to change the custom function. I find this very inconvenient because I do not always have my computer with me all the time, especially when I need the function to be changed. The predefined focus and AB focus function are also not very useful to me. I seldom use this function. Tamron really got to be more creative in developing more useful customizable functions. Now, on the other hand, what is so attractive about this lens that made it the most popular lens in 2022? It has a very useful focal length coupled with a very wide aperture. The lens opens up to f2 at 35mm and f2.8 at 150mm. In terms of event photography, the lens covers more than 90% of the situation. You can simply bring a 16-35 wide-angle lens for group shots, and you do not need to carry the Sony Trinity lenses, saving some space on your camera bag. So if you are into street photography, then this lens is a godsend. The only downside is the weight. The Tamron 35-150 covers all the popular focal range such as 35, 50 and 85. You can simply have all the focal range as a wide aperture of f2 to 2.8 without changing your lens. I find this to be particularly critical when capturing the moments, especially when there is not enough time to change your lens. The 4x zoom range also gives you a lot of room to frame your shots. You can zoom in and out quickly without the need to get closer or move further whenever a moment comes up. 35mm provide you a great journalistic look to express the story that you would want to tell from your photos. If the surrounding is too messy and you want to have a tighter frame, then you can zoom in to even up to 150mm to take the shot without the need to crop during post. So the lens is also very useful for landscapes, especially cityscapes. The zoom range is very useful. You can get wide enough for the view of the whole city, or you could zoom in to isolate a few interesting buildings. While it's not an ultra-wide lens, 35mm is still somewhat sufficient in many situations. The incredible sharpness of this lens makes it perfect for landscapes. It also has the same diameter with my 16-35 G Master, and I can use the same filters without adapting. The lens is sharp from corner to corner at any of the zoom range. There are some fall off around the corners, but it's still very sharp. Vignetting is prominent you might have to adjust it during post-processing to get rid of the vignetting. So the Tamron 35150 uses the latest technology from Tamron. It has the VXT linear motor, which is very quick, quiet and accurate. You can change the autofocus speed from the lens utility. The Tamron 35150 also uses the VXT linear focus motor that is very quick, quiet and accurate. You can change the autofocus speed of the lens in the Tamron lens utility. What's more interesting is that this lens is parfocal, meaning that the focus does not shift when it zooms in and out, which is very critical in filmmaking. The handling of this lens is also commendable. The focus ring is buttery smooth and really enjoyable to operate. You can also set the focus distance or the focus type from linear to non-linear in the Tamron lens utility app. The zoom ring is also smooth yet tight enough to be able to hold itself when it's faced vertically to the ground. The lens also does not automatically extend itself when you have the lens hanging, so you do not have to worry that it accidentally extends and hits something. Not like some of the Sony lenses, especially the 100 to 400, which is a grower. So should you buy this lens? This is one of the questions that people will ask, right? I would say yes, this is a very useful lens, especially for the professionals. However, if you have the 24 to 70 or the 70 to 200, then I don't think this lens adds any value to you. If you're still using a lens that has an aperture of f4 and above within the zoom range that covers by this lens, then I would say give this lens a try. It will definitely not disappoint you. Alright, so this is all for the video. If you have any questions regarding this lens, please leave your comments below. I'll definitely do my best to try to answer them. And if you like this video, please like the video and subscribe to my channel for more videos in the future. It would definitely help me a lot. Alright, see you in the next video. I'm getting my Z9.